Questions are what, where, and why. The New Jersey natural gas solution is simply wrong, and their defense for this choice versus alternatives non-existent. There are plenty of additional solid comments and observations regarding noise, smell, toxicity, adverse effect on property values, visual conformity to surroundings, safety and security that the citizens made during the zoning board meetings. It is a shame that none of these comments made by citizens was included in New Jersey Natural Gas's filing with the state agencies, including the OAL. Dear Judge, New Jersey Natural Gas was deceitful in its lack of disclosures prior to laying down the new larger capacity pipe. This larger capacity is not for Holmdel. The proposed gas regulator solution is absolutely horrible by almost every measure for Holmdel. New Jersey Natural Gas needs to go back to the drawing board and devise a solution that works for Holmdel. Thank you for your time and attention.
Just a reminder, if anyone has joined us late, if you do wish to speak this evening, there is a sign-in sheet on the table towards the back of the room. Moving down the list, our next speaker is it Jim Shelton or Jin Shelton? How are you this evening?
Good evening. Jim Shelton, 2 Winthrop Drive, Holmdel. I'm going to be very brief. I first learned about this when I went to that very first meeting where we were told that the representatives of the company wouldn't speak and wouldn't let any speaking go. I was astounded at the things that I saw there and the things that I inferred from what was communicated. I haven't followed this closely in the meantime, but have watched from time to time and thought that the things that were being said to the Holmdel official people were the right things to be said, that is, from the community. And I was especially impressed with the things that I've heard this evening, that I think that our community is being represented well by those who are speaking to you. I was astounded when I first learned about it. I've tracked it only loosely. I've been interested in energy, though, ever since I spent 6 years as a naval officer teaching at the Naval Nuclear Power School. And I've watched a lot of things with energy, and this is one of the things that has disturbed me especially. My lack of engagement with that personally comes from seeing that such good work was being done by the members of the community. I just wanted to say that I'm here this evening because of reading a note from the CILU, Citizens for Informed Land Use. Are you used to seeing their documentation?
I'm not familiar with what you're...
Okay, in that case, I suspect that it's okay for me to leave a copy, and I will leave a copy for you. The general purpose was to update the community as to what was being discussed. And I'm really glad to hear the things that you're hearing tonight, because I think that they're right on target.
Thank you very much. If you'd indicated you're going to leave a copy of the document, as I indicated before, anything that is presented will be, copy will be made and shared with all of the parties. If it will be addressed as part of the evidence you're hearing if needed. Or as part of the record of these proceedings. Next on the list is Francine Campus. How are you?
Francine Campus, 2 Country Squire Lane in Holmdel. Excuse me?
Just a little louder.
Sure. And I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to voice our concerns to you. I've been part of the process from the beginning, listening to all the testimony, and I won't repeat what a lot of the other people here have said, but I will go on record to say I agree with every comment they have had. But I will say, I just want to commend our zoning board because they're not inflexible or arbitrary. That land was originally given many variances to put that solar farm on it to begin with, and there were many safety concerns about that time just having the solar panels there, and they granted the variances. Now, New Jersey comes in, and part of those variances being granted was that they had to require that berm that's in front of there for the variances. Now that same berm that was the reason for allowing variances for the solar farm is what New Jersey Natural Gas wants to do away with and ask for more variance for the land. To me, where does it stop? Where does it end? And I'm concerned about that at this point. A lot of studies weren't required. Environmental studies, originally a sound study wasn't required. After some of the people of the town said they wanted to see if those stacks would emit sound that was not good, they did a sound study, and guess what happened? They found out they needed to do some mitigating things. They were going to put up some sound barriers and everything. What other things would come up if some of the studies were mandated for that site to be there? I question that. And they've given arguments why they don't need it. My other thing is, that land is owned by OCI, which is a South Korean company. OCI then is Atlanta-based, and Cornerstone Development is Chicago-based. They are nowhere near the community of Holmdel. They do not care about Holmdel. They have no interest in doing anything for Holmdel, which makes it even more atrocious that they would even allow an easement of on that property. To me, I can't help but thinking it's nothing but greed. And we've got to stop that, allowing greed to ruin communities, good communities in this world. Let's put it this way. The residents of Holmdel are hardworking people, and they work hard. Like myself, no offense against any of you, but I have better things to do tonight and all the other times that I came here. But I have an interest in my community. I want to keep it nice, I want to keep it safe, and I want to keep it for future generations. It's partly my way of giving back. I brought up 3 children in this community. It's a beautiful community, and I think it's my turn to give back to make sure it stays that way for the future generations. We were mentioning in some of the testimony, there are a number of sites, and one which I didn't bring the name of the company, refused to elect New Jersey Natural Gas, and I think it's close to where they have the one advantage to put their regulation station there. Repeatedly we were asked, why did they refuse? They said, we can't give you that information. Maybe that place that's refused it knows something that we all should know, why that regulation station should be there. And just in closing, I agree with Jay. I've always had a good idea of New Jersey Natural Gas. I've never had anything, but after I've come to some of these things, I'm a little bit concerned. I quite honestly don't see how we can have confidence in a company that put together, and there's their quotes, a major project, putting a bigger gas line down Holmdel Road, and needs such a critical thing. This regulation station is such a critical thing. You finalize that project without having everything in place to make it safe, reliable, and beneficial to the community. If I was the person in charge of that company, I would have never allowed that project to go ahead unless everything was in place, that when it was finished, I wouldn't be up against what it is now. What they're doing is their lack of planning and putting together that critical project, they're throwing it off on the citizens of Holmdel and saying it's now your problem. I don't think it's our problem. I think it's theirs. And I quite honestly can't trust a company that didn't do their due diligence at the beginning of the project. And they're the ones that are calling it critical, not I. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the list I have Carol Balmer.
Carol Balmer, C-A-R-O-L-E, B-A-L-M-E-R, 96 Middletown Road, Holmdel, New Jersey. Can you hear me okay?
No.
Yes? Okay. So much has been said before me, and I can't even compare with Jay. Jay's entity unto himself. I mean, he's just self-perpetuating. It's incredible.
We were fighting the other night, you wouldn't have believed it.
Whatever. But he did a phenomenal job. Pradeep did a great job. Kim did a great job. What Kim neglected to mention, though, was the fact of those 300 some odd letters that were submitted, I would like to read into the record, because I signed one of them myself. So, with your permission, okay? Oh, by the way, thank you for coming. I forgot to mention that. Okay? In the matter of the petition of New Jersey Natural Gas for a determination concerning the Holmdel regulator station pursuant to NJSA 40:55-19 BPU, docket number G017010023, OAL, docket number PUC 2017N. To the attention of the Honorable Elliot A. Pelios, okay? This was signed by over 300 people from Holmdel and also the surrounding communities, not just Holmdel. I would like to point out that this is a watershed for the Swimming River Reservoir. This is the potable water supply for over 350,000 residents. This zoning was put in place to protect that watershed, to protect the land, to protect the runoff, to protect the stream corridors, the ground and surface and underground resources. This was not even addressed at the zoning board, and some of the questions weren't even allowed to be asked. As a matter of fact, the original application for OCI solar required stream encroachment, required DEP approval of the stream at the back of the property. The emissions from this plant, which is the first of its kind in the state, to the best of our knowledge, we asked this at the hearing. They said, can you give us a picture of this plant, of this station, of this facility? They couldn't do that. The zoning board chair had to direct them to bring back a picture. They brought back a schematic, a 3-stack to 15-foot tall stack regulator station, which to the best of my knowledge is yet to be operated in the state. So in a way, Holmdel's being a guinea pig here as well. But getting back to the watershed, for years we fought to preserve this watershed. At one time, General Whipple of the DEP declared this area an endangered area as far as water supply was concerned. That's where the Manasquan River Reservoir came into being, okay? As a result, Manasquan took over some of the demand that Monmouth County had and Ocean County had for water supply. But the Swimming River Reservoir is still an endangered species, and the runoff means a lot. Okay, that's one reason why this area was designated a low-growth planning area 5, so that agriculture, low-growth residential, and confined, basically careful use of the land and the density was planned very carefully. The state, the county, and the township designated Holmdel Road a scenic corridor. Kim Casola's farm across the street is state preserved with our tax dollars. That means we're stakeholders in this, not just the New Jersey Natural Gas, and not just the consumer, and not just the elected officials and appointed officials. We are stakeholders in this. We have a right to be heard. When I called up Irene Asbury this afternoon, I asked for a response of Maura's pointing out the deficiencies that were submitted in the petition. She did a wonderful job in that, but when I tried to get the response from New Jersey Natural Gas to those deficiencies, I was not allowed to have them because I'm not considered an interested party, a stakeholder. I'm not involved in litigation. I'm not a party to litigation. This is wrong because the taxpayers paid for Kim's farm. They're the ones that basically, they're the stakeholders in her farm. Therefore, we should be entitled to full disclosure and full transparency. On that note, I'm going to get back to the letter that basically was submitted, 300 letters, okay? To the attention of the Honorable Elliot A. Pelios, I'm writing to express my opposition and to file a formal protest to the New Jersey Natural Gas Company's attempts to override and overturn the Holmdel Township Zoning Board denial of the New Jersey Natural Gas application, SP number 2015-2, for preliminary and final site plan and use and regulated bulk variances for 970 Holmdel Road, Block 13, Lot 14. Excuse me. I hereby formally request that my support for the Holmdel zoning board's denial be duly recognized and recorded at all New Jersey state agencies and authorities that the NJNG company has filed with to undermine the Holmdel municipal government's efforts to enforce local ordinances enacted to protect the community, public's best interest, and welfare. For the following but not limited to reasons, I respectfully request that the basic justification for denying New Jersey Natural Gas's appeal outlined below be included in the official record of the Office of Administrative Law, scheduled public hearing to be held on June 8, 2017 in Holmdel Township. That's today. The Right to Farm Act and cumulative impacts on nearby New Jersey State preserved farmland, Fox Hollow Farm, which happens to be Kimco Solis Farm, were not adequately addressed during the application review process by the zoning board or satisfactorily responded to by New Jersey Natural Gas. The waste emissions from the three continuously running, first of its kind, 15-foot tall stacks, and the impact on nearby vegetation, livestock, air quality, and water quality for the Swimming River Reservoir watershed, potable water supply for more than 350,000 Monmouth County residents, were not fully disclosed. New Jersey Natural Gas's filing with state agencies contained truncated transcripts that did not fairly represent the public's entire extensive testimony and documented concerns. For the public's fair and equitable treatment, the OAL, Office of Administrative Law, must require that a complete set of transcripts be submitted and reviewed for all 8 zoning board meetings and hearings from 2016 through and including March 15, 2017. The Office of Administrative Law shall require that an independent objective environmental impact statement expert be chosen by the zoning board and made available to the public for review and comments prior to any determinations. Independent objective engineering studies need to be provided for a fair analysis of New Jersey Natural Gas's alleged flow, calculations, and pressure maintenance. New Jersey Natural Gas application was a disingenuous promotional misrepresentation for this regulator station to be primarily for the direct needs of 98% of Holmdel residents. The 2011 zoning board Cornerstone Solar Farm, now OCI, approvals for Block 13, Lot 14 required 12 variances and 11 waivers. The zoning board's New Jersey Natural Gas denied application requires 12 additional variances and waivers conflicting with state, county, and municipal master plans. New Jersey DEP statutes, regulations, and rules for potable water supplies and environmentally sensitive lands were totally dismissed, ignored, or rejected out of hand during meetings and hearings. The 2012 New Jersey Natural Gas Holmdel Road pipeline installation applications then omitted the long-range regional purpose that New Jersey Natural Gas now asserts are desperately needed. This is a self-imposed hardship by New Jersey Natural Gas that the municipality must not be coerced into or expected to compensate for New Jersey Natural Gas's flawed planning regarding regional distribution. In other words, the township's residents and the taxpayers and the consumers, they should not be expected to compensate for basically the flawed plans of New Jersey Natural Gas. As a declared interested party and stakeholder, I respectfully request the Office of Administrative Law to address all the aforementioned and schedule another requisite public hearing with estimated comment period to accommodate public review. Which gets me to this point. Is there any chance we can get an extended comment period for this hearing? Considering we've got over 300 letters, is there any chance we can get an extended comment period?
Are you requesting another hearing or a period to?
I'm requesting a longer time to submit information to the Office of Administrative Law before we make a decision.
I mean, certainly it's not the purpose of this public hearing for me to make a ruling or a determination.
At this time, I realize that.
At this time, and certainly the request itself is noted here, and all matters that are brought to our attention will be considered and vetted.
Okay. Will you let us know if you will extend the comment period? I mean, will there be some kind of response from the Office of Administrative Law?
If there's an order issued, it is certainly something that the parties will be made aware of, which includes the township itself and as an intervener in the proceeding. But we still have a little bit of a ways to go before we have included all of our pre-hearing matters or items.
Can you give us an idea of that little ways?
Well, again, we're here to collect public comment. I'm not here to make determinations. As I indicated, the evidentiary hearing is scheduled to be held on July 13th. There will be post-hearing submissions that will be submitted afterwards. You know, there is a process that will be followed, but again, the purpose of the hearing is to receive public comment at this time, and the request is noted, and again, I'm not here to make any determinations or issue any rulings or orders at this time.
Okay, and is it possible that, at least with that request in, that accepting public comments up until July 13th might be possible?
Again, I'm here to hear the public comment. I'm not here to issue, 9 times out of 10, you guys got lucky this time, not to say lucky, but 9 times out of 10, it would be a judge that just happens to live nearby, and you wouldn't even have the administrative law judge who is presiding over the case
Right.
to be presiding over the public hearing.
Mhm.
And so, to the extent that I may not be prepared to engage in a give and take, it's because often is the case, you'll even have a substitute judge who is really just here to receive the public comment, and so everything will be reviewed and considered in that time. I don't know that there is a prohibition in any essence against, there's been no pre-hearing order issued. I don't know that there's a prohibition against, as we've received letters to this point, that they will be received. This is the scheduled public hearing. In
Right.
terms of scheduling another public hearing, I don't know that that's necessarily in the stars, unless you may have seen in the papers, there was an overflow crowd where they could not conclude at a reasonable period of time,
Right.
that it was rescheduled, or sometimes if there's a larger service area, that there will be multiple hearings held around the service area. But for now, this is scheduled to be the only public hearing.
The reason I asked, well, there's a lot of reasons I asked, but Maura really did a really nice job with the Division of Rate Counsel discovery request. I think it was on February 6, 2017. And I tried my darndest to try and find a response from New Jersey Natural Gas to these questions or points that she wanted to have addressed from the Rate Counsel. I was told this afternoon that I could not have them because I was not party to the lawsuit. Now, I think, as again, for stakeholders in Kim's Farm, I think taxpayers and consumers and users of New Jersey Natural Gas have a right to at least have information disclosed to them and to be transparent. And I would really like to know how New Jersey Natural Gas responded to Maura's requests. So, I mean, do we have to get more letters to submit in that regard as well, to have them open up to the public, or?
Again, letters to the public are welcome. I'm here to accept public comment this evening. I'm not here to make a ruling or an evidentiary determination or
Okay.
anything of that nature, and I apologize if that's not
I
the answer that
understand.
you're looking for. Again, we're here under a limited scope of purpose for this evening, and so I apologize if that's not the answer that you want to hear at this time, but that's, again, the only answer that I'm prepared to give at this time.
Okay, all right, let me go back to my last paragraph then, right? Okay, let me go recap. The 2012 New Jersey Natural Gas Holmdel Road Pipeline Installation applications then admitted the long-range regional purpose for New Jersey Natural Gas that now asserts are desperately needed. This is a self-imposed hardship by New Jersey Natural Gas that the municipality must be coerced into or expected to compensate for New Jersey Natural Gas flawed planning regarding regional distribution. As a declared interested party and stakeholder, I specifically request the Office of Administrative Law to address all the aforementioned and schedule another requisite public hearing if necessary with the extended comment period to accommodate public review. In the public's best interest, it is respectfully requested and appropriate for the Office of Administrative Law to justifiably deny the New Jersey Natural Gas appeal. That's about it. I mean, I have tons of notes here, and I was hoping that maybe you could give me at least an idea of where I could send in some more comments and not have the comment period closed. But you're telling me the comment period will be closed after this hearing. Is that correct?
What I'm saying is I don't know that there will be another public hearing scheduled necessarily. you know, members of the public are invited to share their comment, which will be shared with the parties. If items are sent to my chambers, but again, I am the Administrator of Law Judge presiding over the case. I don't make decisions out of the Office of Administrative Law about public information availability. I only manage the case and for the most part interact with the parties, the interveners, of that nature.
Right.
And so, you know, additional letters to be sent if you want to. I'm not foreclosing that. I'm just saying that...
They won't be part of this record, is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Again, I'm sorry. Letters that are sent, information that is received will be shared with the parties. It will be marked as a court exhibit and made part of the record, and will be indicated that as part of the record that is transmitted to the Board of Public Utility when the final decision is made.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that the decision that I will make is what's called an initial decision. That decision encompasses the record of these proceedings that will then be forwarded to the full Board of Public Utilities for their consideration, and they will issue the final determination. What is received by the Office of Administrative Law will be transmitted to the Board of Public Utilities as part of the record of the proceedings. What I am saying is that I am not anticipating that at this time that another public hearing is to be scheduled. That's not to say that among conference the parties who may decide that it is in the interest, but for right now, this was noticed. If we are able to complete the business tonight, we're not in that. It is not the normal course of proceedings that another one is just scheduled. But I have at no time said that that anyone could not continue as they have to this point, send comments or letters to my chambers.
Okay. One other thing which was brought up previously is that in the pleadings by New Jersey Natural Gas, they did truncate the public hearing and also the comments from the public. And I strongly suggest the Board of Public Utilities and perhaps our counsel, Mr. Collins, go over the transcripts diligently. There was a lot of information in there that was either inconsistent or was not responded to, and therefore giving the zoning board their pause on approving this. Even though the zoning board bent over backwards to be nice to them, I mean, even complimented their attorney. I mean, they saw there was a flaw in the plan here. There were mistakes. So I'm hoping that the Board of Public Utilities and our counsel will be good enough to go over the transcripts, which I know are extensive, but there's a lot in there that has been missed. So please do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Janet DC. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janet Nisi, N-I-C-I, 7 Country Squire Lane, Holmdel, New Jersey. I live just down the road from this proposed facility. There's a traffic light just south of the facility, and I'm off of that street. First, most people stole my thunder, said a lot of things I wanted to say, but I did want to just go on record with some of my thoughts about this proposal. I first heard about it same way, the very first meeting. I sent my husband to go look at the proposed property, and when we heard it was going to be in front of the solar farm, before we went to look, we were both surprised, because driving down Holmdel Road many times, it didn't look like there was a whole lot of space in front of the solar farm. In fact, I used to worry that just with the berm wasn't enough, and that the solar farm was close to Holmdel Road. So I couldn't imagine something being put in front of it. So I sent my husband off to see it, and he came back, and he basically said the same thing I heard Jay say when I said, well, tell me about it. What did they say? What did you ask? He said, we were not allowed to ask anything. They told us we could not say a word about it. And he said, it's a really small space, and they're planning on putting something there, but we couldn't talk about it. So I started going to all those monthly meetings of the zoning board. And I went sort of open-minded to hear what they had to say. What was this plan that they were talking about? And with every passing month, I got more and more angry, hearing hearing the people come, it's a big utility with lots of people. Next month they'd have 10 people. Next time they'd have more people. Sometimes there were more people in suits than we had sitting in the audience. We asked lots of questions. They had very eloquent speakers. What it sounded to me was they answered very specifically, very narrowly. And you heard people say that Craig Sanders said, well, the other sites were not optimal. Well, in trying to ask, well, what was optimal? They never really answered that question to my satisfaction. We tried suggesting other sites, and it sounded to me was that it was the cheapest solution for New Jersey Natural Gas to put it there because it was, I guess, the shortest distance to their large pressure system. I don't believe they answered the question, is the system even necessary? They talked about their underground regulator that they had, which is inadequate. I didn't understand why they just couldn't put another one underground, or why did they have to go to this? I was the one who asked about the sound study. I don't know much about sound, but it sounded like there might be something going on. And they hadn't done one. And when they came back, as you heard, the way they phrased it, with mitigation, we're under the limits. Well, without mitigation, they're above the limits. So they hadn't done that. I don't have all the questions. I don't know what questions to ask. So I'm really concerned we're missing some things that they haven't told us. They had a landscaping plan. The first meeting I did attend, many residents said it was adequate. So they came back with more trees here and there. They were coming in with a plan that wasn't well thought out. They didn't prove to me that it was needed for our community. It seemed like Holmdel was taking the brunt of it all, and that they were going to get some benefit. New Jersey Natural Gas was going to. They talked about increasing capacity, but they didn't really show us any data that I saw to show that it was really needed. So we also talked about the dangers, and that can't be understated. Holmdel Road has had a whole bunch of deer accidents, as Kim was talking about. You go up there, you'll see deer littered on Holmdel Road. It's a 2-lane road, and a lot of trucks will take that road and not to go on Route 34. We'd ask, well, what happens if a truck comes down and hits it, since it's so close to the roadway? I don't think they had a good enough answer. It didn't satisfy me. So I'm concerned about that. We talked about odor, and they mentioned something about negligible odor. Then Jay brought pictures of the Lincroft facility. That looked terrible. You need to look at those pictures. And they said, oh, well, no, we don't really keep our facilities like that. That facility looked terrible. I asked for a picture of the 3-stack. I said, do you have any? They said, we don't have any pictures. They're proposing a 3-stack facility. They don't even bring a picture of what it's supposed to look like. The next meeting, there was a picture with the 3 stacks. And if you don't have a picture, I'm sure somebody here has it. It's really ugly looking. Anyway, I've lived here 24 years. I raised my children here. And I just can't believe that New Jersey Natural Gas considers that part of Holmdel Road an industrial area. If you have any time, drive down there and you'll see. You'll see the houses right across the street are over $2 million. I don't see how we can say that. I just wanted to voice my opinion. Thanks. If you want to see a picture of the 3 stacks.
I can submit one.
Okay, good.
Janet, print evidence.
Oh, just bring it to you.
Yeah, but,
Oh.
Thank you very much. Next on the list I have Ken O'Hanlon. Ken O'Hanlon. Nope. Barbara Singer. Good evening.
Good evening, Your Honor. Barbara Singer, S-I-N-G-E-R, 43 Azimuth Court, Holmdel, New Jersey. Thank you for being here. You're seeing one of the things I love about Holmdel is the involvement of its citizens, not just their involvement, but their knowledge. And think that's one of the problems we're dealing with. I think had New Jersey Natural Gas come to us with a full plan and with answers to the questions, we could have understood it if it had been, we considered these other sites, here's why they were no good, here's why Holmdel is great, and here's why we need you to help us out with all this. We could have followed along, we could have followed the legalities, we could have followed the technicalities. That's not what was done. It's now has led to a time where we're more not believing of what they say, and their credibility is in question. And I think that's important for you to weigh in as you go forward and hear their the testimony of the parties and the other witnesses. Several of the reasons why they have lost credibility have already been talked about, so I don't need to repeat them to you. I'm sure your memory will serve you. But at the end of the day, this is not an industrial area, and all these the variances that are needed certainly indicate that this is not a proper location for this project. We do appreciate the changes in the landscaping. That is something that is important to Holmdel, and to the extent that was heard, that is appreciated. But getting back to what you need to consider, the legal issues, have they shown why this project is needed and how it will benefit us? With all the hours of hearings we've already had in Holmdel, we couldn't get a straight answer on that. So we wish you better luck in that respect. I do hope also that you go get to look at the area, because you'll see what everyone's talking about. It's a nice drive down a country road. It's nothing industrial. And I guess that's about it. I do concur with everything everyone else has said, and appreciate your time in coming here and listening to us. Thank you.
I apologize. R.G. Milanis, is that correct? Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to Holmdel. If you haven't been here before, it's really a wonderful place. 218 Road. R.G. Milanis, A-R-G-Y. R-I-O-S is my full first name. Last name is Milonas, M-I-L-O-N-A-S. I live at 2 Winding Brook Way, which is about 1,000 feet from the proposed location. So I would be seeing it every day. And I'm not happy about that. Others would too. People jog along the way. Also, when we hold track meets at Holmdel Park, this is where a lot of the cross-country meets happen. Many times schools park at the at Vonage and then walk up to Holmdel Park, or take a warm-up jog, and they'd be going right by this. So that's an aside. I want to thank, first of all, I want to applaud the zoning board for standing up for the rights of the citizens of Holmdel. And I was at several of the meetings, 3 of them I believe, and I've seen the rest of them in videos. They truly listened. They listened intently. They asked questions. They tried to seek clarity. And when they didn't get a clear answer, yes, they pushed back because they wanted to understand. But the only thing that we've got out of that interaction is that New Jersey Natural Gas itself was searching for the reason why they should put this in Holmdel, or a reason why the Holmdel residents would feel it's an appropriate place. First, they were saying it's good for Holmdel. Well, we have a master plan. We do have a master plan. It doesn't call for apartment buildings. It doesn't call for gas guzzling industry. It calls for 1 2-acre zoned housing. So the thought that we would need some monstrous regulator to pump more gas into New Jersey is laughable. Next, it was fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Your gas is going to go out. Well, it hasn't gone out in the past 6 years. All you have to do is maintain what you have and we'll be okay. Then information came out about the need for gas in surrounding communities. Well, it became clear that the reason that New Jersey Gas wants this, New Jersey Natural Gas, is they want to pump more gas to customers that are separated from us by time and distance. The customers don't exist yet. And they're some other place. And Holmdel, unfortunately, because of development down south, is now in the middle. It's a way station. We don't like being a way station. We have plans for our community. This is our community. We see it all the time. I saw it when I was living in Washington Heights when the Cross Bronx Expressway was built. Right? There was no consideration to the community. I was going to a school that was right next door. When they were blasting, some of the debris went through the window of the school. Then came the plan to build an expressway through Greenwich Village. The community fought it and established the fact that the community has a vested interest in controlling what is happening in the community. Now I'm here, and we've got New Jersey Natural Gas coming in and wanting to build a regulator which has no value to us at all. And we have JCP&L trying to build lines that are going to divide the community just like the Cross Bronx Expressway did. The zoning board took courage, and the zoning board has the right to speak for the community. And I am asking you to uphold that right. To uphold it, to deny and New Jersey Natural Gas's appeal, and to proclaim that local bodies that represent communities have a right to control what goes on. They're not being used as a convenience. Thank you.
I just want to be sure, moving down the list, I see a couple of names that have put lines through them. I assume that they were cross-outs, but I just want to make sure that Li Jing and Shen Xin Wu do not wish to speak? Is that they left. Okay. Okay, the next person I have is that Sue Quincannon, I apologize. Thank you very much, Ms.
Well, my real name is Evelyn Quincannon, and I live at Hopbrook Lane, 14 Hopbrook Lane in Holmdel. I live on the street that is actually, when you come out of my street, this facility will be at the mouth of it. I moved there 7 years ago. We have all new homes on the street. It's a very beautiful street. As far as I'm concerned, that belongs on the New Jersey Turnpike. I didn't move into this area, expecting something like this to happen at the mouth of my street. I can tell you, I lived on, one of my other houses was on a power line. It took me 4 years to sell that house. This facility, it's a hill, you come down, there's no way you're going to hide those smokestacks from visibility on our street. And, we're living in a rural area, never expecting to see something like this happen to our neighborhood. This is an industrial piece of equipment that does not belong in really a rural area. I can't understand why they haven't found a better location. It's unbelievable, all the land around, and they have to put it, in this particular spot, especially with this beautiful farm across the street and whatever's, coming out of it. The other concern I have is, on our street, a year ago December, we had a major fire. A house was burned down. It was a very big house to the ground. One of the problems is we have a fire department maybe a half mile from our home and from this site, but it's closed. And it's been closed, and the town's going to open it, and it hasn't opened it. And since then, I understand the firemen have recently sold the facility. The fire department took, well, not our fire department, but the other communities that came to help out in this particular fire, took 1 hour to hook up for the first hose to go on the fire. We stood there and watched this flames shooting up. You're putting a facility here with no fire department. The fire department in Holmdel is over by Route 35. It's a long distance for this particular fire department to reach something like that. So you're dependent on other communities, and of course these fire departments that are all volunteer. And I think this is a big consideration. After I saw that fire next door, I can't imagine a gas fire right at the foot of the street. And of course my concern too is, you know, the looks of it. It's 70 feet off the road. That is not far at all. I think our houses are probably set that far back. So, you know, I really wish you would take into consideration that this is an industrial piece of equipment that doesn't belong in a rural area. You know, and that's basically it. Thank you.
Once again, looking at a scratch out, I assume, was it Lawrence Luttrell is not? He left, okay. Leah Chavez?
Sounds better than my real name.
Good evening, Leah Shave, 11 Lagwood Drive in Holmdel. S-H-A-V-E. I'm here because, again, this anchored me. I went to almost every meeting as well. And last night I sat down and actually read a lot of the transcripts. And it was really interesting reading, and it really angered me all over again, because when you see the chronological timeline unfold as you read it versus my memory of when I attended the meetings, it really becomes clear that this narrative by New Jersey Natural Gas was reactive rather than proactive. And by that I mean, like, I'm going to, repeat what some people have said, but we heard from the very beginning on the first night of testimony that other locations had been being considered for years, a number of years, and I believe it was an excess of 3, possibly 4 locations, and they were turned down. They worked a very long time to try and get this station put on those properties, and for years they worked hard, didn't get it done, so they came to Holmdel. I don't think that, again, in my idea that it's a reactive narrative, is some of the witnesses and their testimony that they called as experts weren't even aware of the lay of the land. One of the experts testified that the speed limit on Holmdel Road was 40 when in fact it's 50. It's 50 and then drops down to 40. He was unaware of that, and that kind of caught him by surprise. Another one of my issues is, as many people have said, there's variances on top of variances that should not be allowed. There are too many waivers. The environmental waivers alone should not have been allowed. Then the dialogue changed from this is going to supply Jamesburg down to the shore to then the testimony became peppered with it's strictly Holmdel, and it's only Holmdel, and it's primarily Holmdel. This is not an industrial area. When asked again for a picture of what the facility would look like, we were told none existed because none did exist, and they had to bring a rendering. That's not an actual photograph of an existing station in New Jersey, so they had to actually bring a rendering because none exists yet. I don't think there's a coincidence that there's new development going on at Fort Monmouth, Sandy Hook, Union Beach, Oceanport, and beyond. I think Pradeep and what Jay said is correct, that these pipes were enlarged for a reason, and now they need something to, kind of take care of what, that enlargement was causing here. And as the meetings went on, again, the dialogue changed. I think it's really insulting that, and it's suspect, that intelligent public comments, for those of us who came for almost a year, were watered down and kind of put into a vernacular of, oh, we were only worried about a vehicular accident happening there. You can hear from the intelligence in this audience, it was much more than that. So I'm asking you, please, read through the testimony. I did. It's actually, like I said, quite shocking and alarming when you see it unfold, page by page. Thank you.
Thank you again. Next on the list I have Falguni Patel. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. My name is Falguni Patel, Falguni, last name Patel. I live at 2 Hopbrook Lane in Holmdel. So a lot has been said tonight, and I agree with everything all my fellow residents have said. It's really important to understand that most of us, if not all of us, are in Holmdel because of its rural surroundings. If you look at this room, a lot of the people that have spoken, you have a lot of people over the age of 50 who are not here just for a better school system. They're living in this town, paying their high taxes because they want to be in this nice, quiet community that has a lot of nature and all the good stuff around it. And now with this whole proposal, you're looking at changing this area into an industrial zone. My home will be the distance of where you are to where this partition wall is. My house will be where that's the distance between where this proposed site is. So I have a lot of safety concerns, a lot of home health concerns. I think everybody's mentioned how, is this the right site?
Can you back up a little?
Sorry. I understand that everybody's had concerns about whether this is the right site, and I agree. It's not the right site. In terms of safety, not just the vehicular accident safety, but fire safety, as Evelyn Quincannon mentioned. If there was a fire, I'm so sorry.
Back up.
If there was a fire, can you hear me?
It's the phone.
Oh, okay, there's the phone. I have no notes. If there was a fire, depending on the wind currents, it could go westward and it could melt all the solar panels. And if it melts the solar panels, you have all that chemical spillage into the dirt, and it goes back to what's going to happen to our water supplies, how it's going to seep into our land. If it goes eastwards, it's going to come, the smog is going to come right into my house. So what's going to happen to the health, the value, and whatnot goes with it. If it goes north of it, it's going to hit Kim's property and all the plants. So it's in a location that's really unhealthy for a lot of things. There are tons of children that are growing up in this neighborhood within a 2-mile radius of it. I mean, tons. There are school buses. I think there are about 15 school buses that pass by every day throughout the day, probably more than 15. And what's going to happen if there are concerns there? The deers, the dead deers, as others have mentioned. It's true. Most of the accidents that happen is because we're trying to veer from the deers, and cars have veered off. About 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago, a car veered off because of a deer and hit my property, and actually came in about 100 feet before I hit my solar panels and stopped. So there was some gasoline spillage, and I was told that I needed to clean it up, and it was cleaned up, but in the process I did see a lot of plants die. And that was a small car, a small little sedan that kind of, crashed into my backyard. What if even a small car crashed into this regulator system and the gas spillage happens? I recall when we asked what happens if there's a fire, we were told you wait until it burns out, however long that may be. Somewhere up the line they were trying to shut the gas, and you wait. You can't use a hose to put it out. And that's fine, but if you can imagine the amount of smoke and fire that it would create and how much it would pollute the neighboring areas. I know I'm giving an example of a catastrophic event, but it goes back to why do we need this big regulator system? They were questioned when it was the last time there was a catastrophe amongst New Jersey natural gas, if there was an issue during Sandy, and the answer was no. I asked if there was a problem 10 years earlier, 15 years earlier. They couldn't recall the last time they had a major catastrophe in Holmdel where a house was not provided gas. Their whole proposal is that even if one elderly can be saved from a cold house, that it's worth saving that life. Well, what about the lives of all the children and all the people that are living there now? What kind of health concerns do we face what kind of gases are coming out. And in the long run, if you look at New Jersey and most of our East Coast towns or states, the cancer risks are higher on the East Coast than they are in other parts of this nation. So I do think that some of the industrialization does affect our health, whether it's in the water system or the air or the food we eat. And being that this is not an industrial zone, it is so close to all these vital, essential things, it shouldn't belong there. And we hope that, as everybody else has mentioned, that you can go through all the material and with your committee make the right decision to protect our town, to protect the people that are living there. And I think that's all I want to say for today before I keep beeping. Thank you so much.
Regina Criscione?
Very good pronunciation.
Very good handwriting.
Gina Criscione, 35 Rambling Brook Drive in Holmdel.
Just spell your last name.
Criscione.